Did you see that, Zach?
So as you might be aware, I like games. I really like games. I like to write about them, I like to talk about them, I like to read about them, and if the mood's right, sometimes I'll actually play one. But let's just keep that between me and you. So, I like games, and I like sort of not big blockbuster games, like they're great and all, but and not even indie games as well. Like they're two very good categories. Like I do like them. But I always think it's the middle ones, the ones that sort of slip under the radar. So not your Minecrafts or your Assassin's Creeds, but stuff like, your Don't Starves and sort of like little, sometimes, just interesting, obscure sort of oddities that sort of slip by and people don't really realise. I love stuff like that, and I don't think enough people sort of just appreciate what they are. And I don't think, I like doing big sort of videos where, they're dead informative, and I like to heavily script them, and I was like, you know what, I'd like to just make a couple of videos where I just talk about games, and I just say, hey, this game looks pretty cool. I'm excited. You should be excited. Here's why. And so yeah, this is what this is. So there's your context. Let's never do this again. So D4, or Dark Dreams Don't Die, which is a stupid title, but I love it. Like, what a great name. It's by Athsest Games, and more importantly, Swery65, who is the director and I believe creative lead of Athsest Games, and who's responsible for a little game that I happen to quite like, called Deadly Premonition.
There's definitely something in this town. You feel it, Zach? Coffee warned me of that.
Which is, oh my god, it's, if you haven't played Deadly Premonition, probably the best way of getting to know it is to go out and buy it and not to read anything about it. It's awful, like it's absolutely terrible, but you'll get into it, and it's one of the best games I've ever played, if not the most enjoyable game. And I think of any game in this generation, Deadly Premonition is probably the one that's had the most influence on me, the one that's left as much an impression, because it's just so bizarre. So Swery65, a man who I never thought I'd see ever again, because his original game was not entirely, it didn't sell, for starters. Deadly Premonition sold about 3 copies, and I think I own 2 of them. And, Athsest Games are not the best at making games, is probably the politest way of saying that. Deadly Premonition suffered from terrible controls, dialogue, character design, location design. It was off. Everything about it. You name anything about a game, like, hey, like that game. Did you like the map screen? Deadly Premonition didn't even get the map screen right. Didn't even get the start screen right. It was all just rubbish. But it kind of came together, and it had this harmony about it. So the thing is, and don't walk out the room when I say this, but at the Xbox One E3 conference, when I saw D4 come up on the screen, and it comes up with, made by Swery65, I was like, wait a second, what? I mean, for starters, Deadly Premonition has reached cult status, definitely. It is a cult classic. It's one of these games that people will always sort of remember. But, for him to be sort of front and centre stage with this game, I mean, the trailer was only like 60 seconds long. But still, that was bizarre. So, obviously, being a fan, I ran out and I tried to find more about this game. And so it turns out D4 is a a point-and-click adventure game in the style of The Walking Dead. And most people will be like, oh, okay. So the game revolves around a guy called David, who's a detective who can travel through time, and he's trying to find out who killed his wife. Now, if that doesn't excite you already, then, what's wrong with you? Even though David can time travel, Swery's revealed that he can't actually change anything that happens. He can only he's not trying to save his wife, he's trying to just find out who murdered her, which is, at the end, that's interesting. I think to know that, and as basis for a narrative, for someone to sort of travel back and see his wife and see her be murdered, that's interesting. And I know for a fact it's gonna be weird, it's gonna be mental. There's a bit in the trailer where a woman just starts sniffing him. That's what I want to see. 10 out of 10. Probably 7 out of 10. That's what it's gonna get in the review publications, but it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna love it, and I'm gonna really get a tit out of it. So yeah. The trailer showed him falling, and he's on a plane. and it looks really cool. It's cell shaded, so it actually looks turn. Well, it sort of looks decent enough. I mean, it looks more decent than Deadly Premonition did on the 360. You know, it looks like it could be passable as next gen because it's, you know, cell shaded, so it just looks cartoony. I think the most exciting thing about this, and although I think a lot of people probably saw it at the Xbox One conference and were probably like, this looks rubbish, but to me, this is really exciting because the worst bits of Deadly Premonition were bits that Swery65 never wanted in there in the first place. So he never wanted combat sections, he never wanted terrible sort of horror sections. That was what the publisher said, basically said, look, this game's not going to sell a single copy unless you actually put some gameplay into it. He just wanted it to be sort of this mystery game that was all like, it was a character piece, that's what he wanted. He wanted an interesting narrative driven character piece, and what we got was a subpar survival horror game with a really cool character piece sort of hidden within it. D4 is an episodic point-and-click adventure, like The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead is a character piece. So the fact that he's taken this route, which is really lucky that he's able to do this, because even 2 years ago, if you proposed to someone a point-and-click adventure game before The Walking Dead, they would have laughed you right out there. They'd be like, no one's going to buy point-and-click adventure games. So he's lucky really that Microsoft have sort of taken the risk and said, yeah, alright, then this guy was a cult, you know, bit of a cult icon now, people seem to know his name, let's take the chance and make this game. And it looks fantastic. It's been described as a game that you can play whilst eating popcorn. It's a Kinect powered game, so you'll be using gestures to fight. There's on the trailer he just slaps a woman up on a plane, which is absolutely mental, but expected from Swery. You know, this is a guy who is famous for the line FT in the toffee, so you know you can't really expect anything other than utter madness.
Did you see that, Zach? Clear as a crisp spring morning. F.K. in the coffee. I knew I could count on it. Never fails.
And I'm very, very excited for that. And you know what? D4 looks really good, and I think you should keep an eye on it. Yeah, it's going to be quite exciting, and you don't have to play it with the Kinect. You can play it with an Xbox One controller. I know it's on the Xbox One, which is going to put a lot of people off. But yeah, it's, to me, although it wasn't the most impressive game at E3, like, you know, there was no Titanfall or Watch Dogs, or what else was there? There was Division, there was the Club, the Drive Club, Gran Turismo. You know what I mean? Like, all those games looked good, and they were like, oh yeah, it's teraflops and a million polygons and everyone's eyebrows and Solid Snake and though on the side of a horse. And yeah, I'm genuinely excited for them, but when I saw Swery's name come on, I think that was the only point at E3 where I got genuinely quite excited, and I was like, oh wow, a guy who genuinely likes to create interesting and different experiences is making a game for next generation. That's what the next generation should be, really. I mean, sure thing, this emphasis on multiplayer and that, it's great, but I can't wait to play D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, despite the fact that it's on the gaming equivalent of Pol Pot at the moment. Yeah, so that's D4, and you guys should definitely take a look at that and see what you think. Thanks for watching this. Will I do another one? I don't know, maybe. If you just like me just talking about games, I've got plenty I could, you know, sort of tell you about things that you might not have heard of. So if you liked it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you know, if there's better videos, give us a like or a thumbs down, and leave a comment, because you know, on these smaller videos that I do, I love it. There's hardly anyone comments, and it means I can have little conversations with people. So, yeah, thanks guys. You know, really appreciate you watching this rubbish, and I will hopefully have more videos out soon. So thanks, and see you later. Bye.